All right, good afternoon, everybody. Today is Wednesday, May 19th, and the NBA playoffs are starting soon. Tom, what's up?
Not a whole lot, man. Busy morning. How about yourself?
Just chilling, just hanging out. How was Chicago?
It was pretty good. It was really nice to go see my buddies. I haven't seen them in over a year because the last time I saw them was when I was out at school. It was my buddy's 21st, so we went out. We were bar hopping on his birthday, and then I got him tickets to the Cubs game. So we did that last night, and then I had a really early flight this morning. So the two didn't really mix well, but I'm here and I'm back and I'm better than ever.
Yeah, you can tell, definitely. So what we have going on is some teams are coming into off-season workouts and NFL-wise, and some teams are doing mini camp. It seems like most teams aren't. It's not mandatory, so yeah. And then quickly, I wanted to bring it up in the introduction. Saudi Arabia has proposed the World Cup every 2 years instead of 4. And I like this idea. I think it's a good idea, but it's once again it's just at the wrong time for this idea. It's like the NBA, the play-in was a good idea. It is a good idea, but after such a compressed season and things like that, it's just not a good time for it. And it's the same thing in soccer around the world. I mean, Manchester United, my team, played like three or four games from like Monday to Sunday last week, and it's stupid. And so, like I said, I agree with them. Another World Cup would be great, but it would also affect the Euros and it would affect a lot of things. But like I said, it's just not the time for it. So that's pretty much I got in the beginning.
Yeah.
Today in sports history, in 1935, the NFL adopted the annual college football draft that began in 1936. Curse watch. On May 2nd, then Benfica manager Bela Gutmann put a 100-year curse on the soccer club. Since 1962, the team has not won a European championship. So apparently the curse works. So that's awesome. Sorry, Benfica. They're not going to be on top of anything anytime soon anyways. So I guess if you're like a fan of them, you just be like, hey, he put a curse on us. There's nothing we can do about it. So
It's like the Bobby Lane curse for the Lions.
I mean, yeah, there's tons of curses everywhere. So we'll get into what's trending in current events right now. Obviously, we've come off debate. We're coming off of football a little bit, taking a little bit of a break for that. So in the MLB, Tom will tell us about what was going on in the White Sox. But first, Mike Trout just hurt, which really sucks. He's gonna miss 8 to 10 weeks.
I saw 6 to 8.
It might be that, yeah. It really sucks because the year he was having, I mean, it's already incredible, and I feel like this was like his year to kind of people were finally starting to recognize how really really good he was, and I mean, once again, I mean, baseball doesn't know how to market their players, and I mean that unfortunately that was the biggest news of the baseball season for Mike Trout, not how he was almost hitting 400 in spring, but it's about how he's hurt now. So that sucks for them. It sucks for him. I guess. Do you think he's going to stay with the Angels the rest of his career?
I think a year or two now ago, he signed a 13-year deal with them. So I would assume so, unless he gets traded somehow. But I don't see them trading him away.
I mean, he's the Angels are going to have probably in 2 years from now, they're probably going to have the best 1-2 punch of baseball with. I assume Trout's still at 32 will be very good, and then what Shohei Ohtani is doing now too is insane. Like, I just don't really think people understand how hard it is to do what he does, like throw high 90s and then hit bombs. So.
He's throwing even harder than that. I mean, his fastball touches 100 a lot. Like at least when I watch him.
Yeah, and I mean, it's just this is once again my problem with MLB is like I had to turn on like ESPN, actually sit down and watch Sports Center, which I don't usually do, to see like how these two players were playing so well. And I mean, it's just another example of how they haven't marketed them. But we've said that enough. So Tom, fill us in on what happened with the White Sox and our favorite resident drunk coach, Tony La Russa.
Yeah. So basically, what had happened was the White Sox ended up going up like 15-4 on the Twins the other night, and to save their arms and their bullpen, like every other team in the league, the Twins put in a positional player to go pitch. It was Castillo, the catcher, and the guy, I think it was Mercedes. He was up to bat, had a 3-0 pitch, and he threw like a 50-mile-per-hour pitch right down the middle, and Mercedes shellacked it for a home run. And yeah, this happened with Tatis. He had a little backlash or whatever, and it was kind of over with and everything. But the thing that was really interesting about this was that the coach of the White Sox player, who, Tony La Russa, we were just talking about, basically came out to the media and said that he thought his player was wrong and he disagreed with it. And a bunch of the players backed what Mercedes did, and they're like, yeah, play your game. And, people are going on Twitter saying, like, if you're going to save your arms, we're going to pad our stats type stuff. But then the next day, I think it was yesterday, one of the pitchers in his first inning of the game and in his first appearance of the game threw a pitch behind Mercedes and got ejected from the game. And after La Russa went to the press, was like, yeah, they handled it how I would have handled it. Like, it was the correct way to handle it. And it was still just like going after his players. And like, it is the easiest way to lose the locker room. Like, I don't see how he finishes the season now.
He's just, I mean, he's the type of, I mean, he was a good coach for a while, or a good manager, but he's the type of manager I feel like the Major League Baseball is trying to phase out at this point. Like,
right.
Like, I mean, if like honestly, like kids are growing up now and they're pimping home runs, they're doing bat flips. It's gonna happen. It's gonna happen. So why not just let it happen? So like I said, I think the MLB I wouldn't say they should actively like tell the White Sox they should fire him, but I wish the MLB would like actively not necessarily like interrogate or like go in on between like coaches negotiations and things like that. But I mean, they should. I mean, Tony La Russa shouldn't be coaching. He just shouldn't be in the managers. He shouldn't be in the dugout. I mean, I don't know if you saw that press conference, but he looked like he woke up he was drunk last night from 3 a.m. And he just woke up, like 15 minutes beforehand. So, and like I said, baseball is, they don't do a very good job at it, but they're trying to make the game more watchable. And it's idiots like this. And I can't really think of any old managers really like this, but I mean, it's just stupid. Like, stop, like the unwritten, and I read a little bit about it, like the unwritten rules of baseball, like those don't exist anymore. Like, there's no there are a couple unwritten rules in sports that like it is what it is because it's been around for so long. But I mean, I completely agree with the Mercedes guy. Like, if you're gonna throw a pitcher at me and I'm a Major League Baseball player, it's hard as hell to hit 300 and let alone like have a good statistical season at the plate. So if you give me a chance to hit a home run and drive in like 2 runs, I'm going to do it. Like that is just me like trying to play for my next contract. So it's been horrible. It's been handled horribly. La Russa was also the only one, I think like a week or two ago, that forgot about the rule on second in the extra inning. So, I mean, this guy just has no business being in the MLB right now. He's an old head that thinks like, I mean, I gotta tell you, like the probably the number one guy in the White Sox locker room is either Jose Abreu or Tim Anderson, and they're not the type of players that are they just don't agree with La Russa and his old way of thinking. I think it's stupid. It's just not what baseball should be. Like, the fact that this has been a story for the last 2 days is not good for baseball, because this is it's exactly why people don't watch it.
Well, and they're coming out with more and more information kind of every hour. Like, Tim Anderson wrote like on his locker or on Mercedes's cleats on the Mercedes locker, like, keep doing you, like, you did the right thing, you're doing whatever. And like, I hate Trevor Bauer. I think that he's like kind of a piece of crap.
I
But
love Trevor Bauer.
I went on to his Twitter and he was
Yeah, I
like,
saw
guys who were hitting like a 3-0 pitch, like, you're doing you. Like, the team that you're pitching or you're playing against got themselves into that situation. They're like, you don't owe them anything.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm like, that's the way it should be.
Yeah. And there are a lot of people that hate Trevor Bauer. I mean, and I think it is kind of becoming prevalent now, especially with pitchers now too. I mean, he is the type of pitcher that is going to carry the game of baseball forward. Like
Him and Joe Kelly.
And who?
Joe Kelly.
Who the hell's Joe Kelly?
He was the guy that struck out one of the Astros guys and made the face and got a 6-game suspension for it.
Well, we don't even need to go back to the Astros and how terribly that was handled on literally every single party. Everyone involved in that thing did the opposite thing of what you should do. So, I mean, I think I've said it before, but the Astros are lucky that last year wasn't a full season, or there would have been injuries. People would have thrown at their heads. I mean, I don't necessarily agree with it, but like, if you're honestly like if you steal a sign from the catcher, that's the catcher's fault. He needs to be more brief with the signs. They need more anything like that. But like, if you're like filming it and like doing whatever the Astros were doing, like, I agree. Like it would be very fine with me if Jose Altuve was thrown at his head every single game.
I mean, like, I think that this year they are starting to get like it's still a thing. I know that.
Yeah, I mean, but I agree, and I know when they went to they played like their first game in New York, and like everyone booed them. I don't know, but yeah, I have absolutely no problem with anyone on the Astros getting beamed in the head. Anyway, I mean, what they did, I mean, Belichick did it, and somehow people still try to say he was right in doing it, but I mean, like, you just don't do that. So it all just brings back us to the same point. We keep circling around it. Baseball has done nothing good on its own to help its own image. Like, they just haven't. So either it's just that there's these old owners and old GMs and old media people that just don't care, or I mean, like, because nobody who's growing up right now and wants to get into the journalism field, like, no one that's growing up right now that wants to get into that is like mocking like the unwritten rule. Like, they are, I mean, like, they don't, people are writing about sports differently now. And so like, it's just, baseball doesn't help itself. We always just come back to the same point. Baseball doesn't help itself. And like, that's why I said, and that's why I won't feel bad about not going to a game this year. The Indians, the owners, screw the fans. Like, I don't care. Like, I'm not going to go. And like, if it was a basketball game or something like that, like, usually they could do like some kind of promo to get me to go. I have absolutely no interest in going to the Indians this year. And they have had bad attendance. I think attendance is down everywhere. I know for a fact that not attendance, viewership is down because I mean, I guess we have to bring this up. We're talking about baseball. I mean, is a no-hitter even a no-hitter anymore? Like, there's been like 12 this year already.
I think that Spencer Turnbull became the 5th pitcher to throw one. I don't know if anyone's pitched 2.
It's just, I mean, it's not even exciting anymore. Like, I know, I think I said like 4 or 5 years ago, if you had told me that, Johan Santana is in the 9th inning with a no-hitter going, I'd be like, yo, let's turn that on. Let's flip that on. Right now, basically, I just don't care. I'm like, okay, just let me know how it goes. And what I'm even more interested in is if someone tells you they have no-hitter going and then they figure like they didn't end with a no-hitter, my interest is more, how did the no-hitter get broken up? So,
right.
Yeah, it's just the same thing every time with baseball. It's just they're stuck inside their own heads. I just don't understand it. And like, I don't hate any journalists necessarily, but baseball, like the old head baseball guys are, I mean, they need to go away for the rest of their lives. Like, I'm just done dealing with them. Like the Hall of Fame voters that like think they're so special because think they're so special because they get to go vote for the Hall of Fame. It's like, dude, shut up.
And they're honestly, wrong a lot of times too.
And honestly, Barry Bonds should be in the Hall of Fame. I don't care if he took a trillion steroids. Barry Bonds should be in the Hall of Fame. Even with the help of even if he did have the help of steroids, he was probably the best baseball player in the modern era. So whatever. But like I said, they want low scoring games and long drawn out games for whatever reason. So that's pretty much it about baseball. You got anything else?
No, not really. When you brought up Trout, I was gonna bring up Ohtani, but we kind of touched on that. So yeah, nothing else from me.
Yeah, I mean, he's crazy. I wonder when we'll see the next guy like him.
Probably soon. I think if he has success and continues having the success that he's having, it's going to become positionless baseball.
I agree. I mean, like if I think like 5-6 years ago, if you're a high school senior and you're a pitcher, like they are like now they're like, okay, you're pitching and that's it. You're not hitting. You don't do anything. We'll do DH. And now I think, I mean, kids want to show they can hit too. So, yeah, I mean, what Ohtani's doing is crazy. And the fact that he did it in Japan, I think he did it didn't he come over after like 2 or 3 years? And he had already been doing it for 2 or 3 years. That's crazy. And I'm happy that at least because I know he came in the league, he had Tommy John. And then like last year, I think he played most of the year, but like last year was all messed up anyways because it was such a short season. Yeah. So I think it's awesome that he is finally out there, and now with Trout hurt, it's his job to carry the team. So
yeah, fair enough.
All right. I guess we'll go to another sport I just love, the NBA. Before I let you explain the play-in tournament, which is the dumbest thing ever. The Thunder are really, 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 really bad. I believe they lost. I can't remember who they lost to, but they lost. It was the worst loss in NBA history. I think they lost like 110 to 58 or something. They got killed, so that sucks. And they still the Thunder and Cavs did the same thing this past week, and that was win a game. And it was the dumbest wins ever because now I think the Cavs are fourth best to get it and the Thunder are third best to get it. But if something happens in the lottery, one of the Thunder's pick might go somewhere. I don't know. But yeah, of course, the Cavs. I mean, we'll end up with the fifth pick because there are 4 really key guys coming out this year. So we'll end up with Jalen Suggs or something. I don't know. So. That's great. I mean, it is the Cavs. They'll just keep drafting point guards. I mean, we got like what 5 on our team already. So
positionless basketball with all short guys.
Yeah, the center, it doesn't exist anymore. It's instead of like point forward, like the big guys who dribble up the court instead of point forward, it's like point center. Like I'm the center. I'm the center. Like Cameron Krutwig was kind of like the center of that for Loyola Chicago, where he would just catch the ball on the post area, or like top of the key area, and he would just stand there and have every lane open. So, yeah.
Krutwig, what a guy.
Yeah, he was good. So go ahead and explain the play-in, and then we can talk about it. Like I said,
sure. Do you mind putting up that screen? Because that's the only way I'm going to remember okay, beautiful. So basically, when you look at this, it's already updated on the east side, so on the right side there. So Indiana was the 9th seed, ended up winning their game, and it has the chance to make the play-in tournament. They're facing the Wizards, who got destroyed by Boston and Jason Tatum's 50 points. So Boston, who was the 7th seed, regained their spot as the 7th seed for winning. And Washington now is fighting for the last seed in the East versus the Pacers because they had beaten the 10th seed in the Hornets because they sucked without LaMelo Ball. I think the Western games are tonight, if I believe. And I find it hilarious that the Lakers and the Warriors are going to be one of the play-in games. I would love to see even though I hate both teams, I would love to see Golden State knock out or beat the Lakers, and then see like the Grizzlies, who are going to probably beat the Spurs, come in and knock out the Lakers before they even make it to round one of the playoffs. I think it would be hilarious.
I mean, honestly, I got to tell you, I don't need to hear about Steph Curry anymore. I'm just done. I don't care about him anymore.
If I have to choose between hearing the Lakers losing and not even making for it, or having to hear about Steph Curry, they're going to lose to the Suns in round one anyway. So I would much rather just get to hear about how the Lakers did make it.
So basically, I think they had the right idea when putting this in place, but making the 7 seed play in the play-in tournament, it completely destroys what the point of the play-in tournament. Like 7 means that you are in the tournament. You played your way in during the regular season. Like, so I just have no idea why they just like. If I was a 7 seed this year and then I ended up like, I don't know if any of them are still left, and I ended up making it. I mean, I'm going to make a big problem of it at the summer or winter meetings and summer meetings, because I mean, that's ridiculous. That's absolutely ridiculous that the 7 seed who I mean, I get the 8th seed to reduce tanking and things like that. I get that. So really what it should be is the 9 and 10 seed should play in each tournament. The winner of that then has to play the 8 seed and beat them twice, and then they can go to the playoffs.
Beat them twice?
Yeah, like in a 3-game series.
Oh.
But not necessarily a 3-game series, but it would be like, so whoever the 10 seed is, or whatever the seed is, they'll play them, and I don't know where I'm going with this, but yeah, I just including the 7 seed makes absolutely no sense. And this is once again where I think the NBA has gone off the rail. A, this was not the year to do the play-in tournament, and B, like I don't even know who's in the playoffs. Like they've made a problem for themselves in the fact of the playing game, that now they're either going to lose the Golden State market or the LA Lakers market, which are 2 humongous markets. So it just doesn't make sense. I want to say this, though. I am cheering for the Knicks. Tom Thibodeau, what he's done this year, that has been awesome. It's been cool to see Derrick Rose back, even though I've never really liked Derrick Rose. But that was mostly just because you played the Cavs and LeBron in the playoffs. So I just never really liked him, and I thought he was a little bit overrated, which I still believe he was overrated. You can't be a point guard without being able to shoot 3-pointer. But yeah, I mean the Knicks are my champions. So I'm going to be cool with the Knicks for this year, and I'm going to cheer for them this year. But if they come back again next year and they're good, just Knicks fans remember that, like, through the end of this year, we're going to be cheering for your team. But once next year comes, you're going to be hated again, because you're back to winning. Okay. No, you're back to winning. And so, I mean, the Knicks are just one of those fan bases. I mean, it's any big market team. It's just that like, there's so many Knicks fans, there's so many Yankees fans, there's so many like that. Yeah, I mean,
yeah, no, I got you. I understand.
And I think another place where they messed up with, I mean, the biggest story should have been in the Western Conference playoffs. The biggest story should have been like LeBron versus Steph at some point in the playoffs, not in the first round, like not in the first playing game. Like they've just taken it too far. It makes no sense. And I mean, like I said, and then you have a team like the Thunder, who are so, like, this is what the NBA has turned into. The NBA is going to turn into more baseball, I think, where you're just going to have teams that, like, the Cavs are eventually just going to be a team that can't pay with everyone else. And I mean, there is a salary cap. I don't know how much owners really care about that, because they are, if they want to win, they're more than willing to spend in the luxury tax. So, but yeah, I mean, I just think like the only chance Oklahoma City or like the Cavs have anymore is if they draft like a guy like LeBron James, and then if you're a small market place like that, even then you might have 3 or 4 years with that person, and then he's going to go to a big market. Like it's just. We should have seen it coming back in like when all these guys were coming up, but I mean, it's turned into baseball. It really has. I mean, like there's like 13 teams that are just god awful at the bottom, and then there's like 3 or 4 middling teams, and then there are the huge market teams. So it's just I just don't get the NBA. But I would say I'm excited to watch the Lakers. Warriors, but I won't watch it because I hate Steph Curry. He does not deserve my time of day. And I just don't really care to watch Anthony Davis and LeBron anymore. It's like I saw them win it last year. Like I just kind of want someone new to win it. Like
Yeah,
that's what the NBA has come to for me. It's like I just hope a different team wins it every single year. Never has to be Cleveland, or it can even go on like a rotating thing of like, all right, the Knicks win it, then the Bulls win it, then the Lakers, then the Clippers, and then we go back to like a random team or something like that. I just want a different team every year, and I just don't think that's going to end up being possible.
well, and that's what it used to be until these dynasties and these dynamic duos and super trios and all this stuff came around. Like it used to be like that, and that's when it was really good.
Yeah, and I told you, I think I've said this a lot, and I really do think this is the direction the NBA is heading. Especially because when they get these big three together, I would assume they would like to like assign them for like as a group, not as a group, but sign them all together for a certain length so they could stay on that team with those guys for a certain length. But I think NBA players it would not shock me if in LeBron's like 30, like the next 2 years, like LeBron just latches on to some good young player and just like finishes out his career doing that. So
He's waiting for his son to come out, bro. He's waiting for his son to come to the league, and he'll play with him.
I mean, his son will make it to the league because his name is LeBron James. Apparently he's going to Duke. I've seen him play. He's not bad, but he's not good enough to play Duke. So, and I also think that with everything surrounding that, I think this is also NBA too, I guess. I think in the next couple months, we could see the one and done rule be gone. Like I could see it happening at 5:00 tonight. Like, because it's just, I mean, the top 4 picks, like not unanimously, but probably are Evan Mobley, Cade Cunningham, Jonathan Kuminga, and Jalen Green. And Kuminga and Jalen Green were high schoolers last year that went to they did the G League thing. And Kuminga's sort of still like an experiment, really, but Jalen Green is going to be the 3rd pick in the draft, most likely, if not the 2nd, because he averaged like 18 points playing against men. So, I mean, like I said, they needed to abolish it a while ago, and they should. And if anything, it'll make college basketball better as well. So.
Yeah, I think that while it's going to make it better in the sense that you're not going to have these one and done guys and everything, I think it also does hurt because you're pulling away from that talent pool. But college is now going to turn into a place where guys who can't get drafted right away have a couple years to develop. You know, we talk about the guys on Baylor. None of them were really looking or not looking like they were going to be prospects that were going to make it to the league. But after the 3 or 4 years at Baylor, they turned into guys like Jared Butler, I think, is supposed to go top 10. You know, so college is going to become something like that where they're going to have a chance to develop their skills and play like a mid competition from between their high school and the pro, which is honestly what college I thought should have been.
Yeah, and I do think you'll still have a small amount of one and dones, but if you just look at the last couple of drafts, like the one and dones, like Anthony Edwards, like he should be back at Georgia this year. Like he should have came back to Georgia to refine his game. Like he's incredibly raw, and I don't think that he would have like you like I said, you'll still see the one and dones, but I think you'll also see the smart side of analytics and things like that. Whereas if Anthony Edwards not gone to the draft last year, came back this year at Georgia, A, his team might have been pretty good, and B, you now have 30 more games of him to watch, basically. And I know age is a big thing in the NBA. Everyone wants them young as possible, but I mean. I think Anthony. I don't know why I keep saying it, but Anthony Edwards would have benefited so much from returning to college one more year. Nerlens Noel, when he went to Kentucky, would have benefited so much coming back for a second year. Hell, Karl Anthony Towns probably would have been as good. I think he could be as good right now as Joel Embiid if he would have stayed an extra year. So I hope that there's more like two and dones, because I think I think the one and done. I don't think it's done a good service to any of the freshmen that really, other than like the guys that go to the lottery. I just don't think it's done a good service to them. But we'll see. I don't know.
Right. All right.
That was a lot of the NBA. Oh yeah, I did say I'm going to cheer for the Knicks in the playoffs. Okay.
You did.
All right. I don't know. I haven't been following as much. There hasn't been any breaking news, so I assume nothing has happened. Any updates on Aaron Rodgers?
No, nothing. They're just still let me stop sharing that. Okay. Yeah, no, there's nothing new, really. I mean, they're still just kind of in that standoff mode. I haven't seen my phone blow up with anything. I haven't heard anything on Twitter, so no, I don't have nothing on Aaron Rodgers today. Thank God.
Yeah. I mean, to me, his situation is the same as. I mean, it's obviously very different, but like playing wise, I think it's gonna be the same as Deshaun Watson. It's like he's gonna end up having to play for the Packers, I think. But
yeah, the more this goes on, the more I think that's what it's gonna end up being.
Exactly, and then that's what we said about Deshaun Watson. Obviously, that's different a little bit, but it looks like that's going to happen as well. Joe Burrow his doctor has talked and said that he is ready to. He's on track to be back for Week 1, which is good. Huge win for the Bengals. Yes. And I think, and we'll talk a little more about not the schedule, but necessarily some over-under wins next year. It'll be interesting to see because I think for Jamar Chase to like check out is a good pick over Penei Sewell. I think he needs to have a pretty damn good year, or Penei Sewell just has to be awful or something. But I still think if I was the Bengals, I probably would have taken Sewell just to protect him.
100%.
So we'll see what happens with that. But I mean, like I said, you want to protect him, but I mean, Jamar Chase is a consolation prize. It really isn't that terrible. So,
did you see that the Lions signed Sewell to his deal and it's fully guaranteed?
How much is it then?
24.3, I think.
It's all guaranteed.
All guaranteed.
Yeah, that seems. I mean, it's probably weird that it is all guaranteed. I guess I would assume that, but
I think Kyler's was the last one I heard that was fully guaranteed.
I mean, it's just going to what they're having. You're going to have to keep doing to these rookies, considering that they're going to start playing right away. Which brings me to our next point. All right, so I have our 6 quarterbacks on here, and you can feel free to add anyone else you want to think of. But I think we should, maybe just take a run at when we think all these guys will first hit the field. If you give me a second, I'm going to pull up their schedules.
You left off Zach Wilson.
Oh, did I?
Yeah. He's not going to play. He didn't get drafted. It's fine.
Well, see, no, I guess I was probably thinking it because I don't think
Kyle Trask, but you didn't put Zach Wilson.
I'm sorry about that. But I mean, I did think other than Lawrence, I guess I just completely forgot about Zach Wilson, but other than Lawrence, I don't think it's a for sure thing that any of these guys will start day one. But
Zach Wilson will start day one.
He better if you spent the second round or the second pick on him.
He's going to.
So I said, I'm gonna pull up some of their schedules for these guys, and we can make a guess when they get their first start. And if you don't think it's gonna be this year, that's fine too. But what were you saying?
I was just gonna say, like the only competition that Zach Wilson has is James Morgan. I don't think we have another quarterback on roster, so I would assume that he's starting week one. That's all I was gonna say.
Yeah. Well. Oh, those are win totals. Any down there? Okay, yeah. We're gonna do win totals after this. I forgot. All right. So I'm looking at the. I don't even know why I pulled this up. This was stupid. I think we both agree. Lawrence is starting right away. Correct.
Gardner. He's starting right away.
It is funny you say that though, because it would not shock me if Gardner Minshew came out week one or something. Wouldn't shock me because Gardner Minshew is definitely not what you want Trevor Lawrence to be, but and that's why I like the Jaguars. I would like him to start Lawrence is because, Minshew, he's probably one of the better backups in the league other than Ryan Fitzpatrick, who isn't a backup. He's just a starter, but I think he gets the start week one.
If you think about it, back to the 2018 draft class, Baker didn't start until week 4 when Tyrod got hurt. 3, I was close. Darnold, I don't think
he started.
Did he start week 1?
I don't know if he started.
I know he played the Monday night game versus the Lions, and I thought that was 2. But
Baker's first start was in week 3. It wasn't his first. His first start was in week 4. He came in week 3. That was versus the Jets, and Sam Darnold was playing. It wasn't overtime. Wasn't overtime. I think you guys went up 10-3, and then the Browns had 2 rushing touchdowns and won it. But something like that. Yeah, so I do know that Darnold was starting then because that was a big talking point. That was a big talking point because I was like, why the fuck is Sam Darnold starting? And we had the number 1 overall pick on our bench.
I think that he's played week 1. I think McCown technically started that game. But he was definitely starting week 2 versus the Lions. I don't know. I don't remember. But my point in saying that is even a guy like Lamar, I think, was benched for half the season before he took over. Josh Allen, Josh Rose. Actually, I think Rosen was another one that started right away. But
no, he didn't start. He didn't start till week 9, I believe.
Oh, Rosen?
Yeah, I don't think he started till week 9 because I want to say because their season was falling apart already towards the end of the year.
I don't even remember who the quarterback was before Rosen. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, it's fine. I think Lawrence starts right away.
100%.
I think there's I think there's some on here that we'll get to that will be interesting. Which brings up our next one, Trey Lance. So they're in a position where they could theoretically go the whole year without playing Trey Lance. And I'm looking at their schedule right now. Packers. I don't see them. Definitely don't see them getting him in the first 6 games. The Niners don't play that tough of a schedule, so I'll just go on a limb and say that I think he waits till next year's start.
So I'm gonna give 2 kind of answers, right? So the first answer that I have is yes, I think he'll start, week 1 next year because I don't see him starting because I don't think he's fully developed yet. The other answer that I'll give is from the report that I had kind of read right before we hopped on the show where Jimmy Garoppolo has an issue staying healthy. And I doubt that because they don't have Nick Mullins back, I don't think, and they don't have CJ Beathard. So I think that Lance is going to be the number 2 quarterback on the roster. So whenever Garoppolo gets hurt, I think it'll be Lance that goes out there over anyone else that they have in their quarterback position and in the quarterback room. So if you want to look at it like that, Jimmy Garoppolo could get hurt any week. And I'm pulling up their roster very quickly to see if I'm missing. Is Josh Rosen still on there? Is he still on the team?
Yeah. I don't know. Yeah, I think so. I just searched. I'm on the 49ers Yahoo page and his picture's in here. So yeah.
Yeah, they have Garoppolo, Josh Johnson, Josh Rosen. They got Nate Sutfeld. Apparently, he's a great starting quarterback according to the Eagles. They'll put him in.
Yeah,
but yeah, over any of those guys, I think that they'll put in Lance and just kind of let him learn by playing, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, I think that would hopefully be their goal. Because I really don't think they. Yeah, I'll just stick to it. I'll say he won't start till next year.
Yeah.
Obviously, like you said, with Garoppolo getting injured, anything could happen. So, Justin Fields. I think this is one of the bigger question marks as well.
Yes.
I gotta look up the Bears schedule.
There's only 3 preseason games, right?
I think so. Yeah. There's only 3.
Okay.
So Fields. What was I going to say? They actually, let's say the Bears open at the Rams.
Yeah. I'm not going to lie. This is a pretty tough schedule for a team that finished, what did they finish? 3rd? 2nd? In the division last year?
I have no idea.
I forget who finished higher between the Vikings and the Bears. This is a pretty tough schedule for I'm going to say that they were 2nd. They made the playoffs, right?
Yeah, they did.
Yeah, so for a second place schedule though, this is still very hard because you end up playing Tampa Bay because they finished 2nd as well in that NFC South division. You end up playing Baltimore as well. Seattle, those being 3 out of division games, that's very tough. Wow, that kind of sucks.
Yeah, I'm gonna. It's just I would say he'd start the opener, but they open at the Rams. I'm gonna say he gets to start in week 2 at home versus the Bengals.
I don't know about that because I saw that Nagy was kind of coming out there and saying Dalton's going to start, week 1. Obviously, he said week 1, but he said Dalton's going to start the season is really what it was. So I'm gonna say that he'll start week 8 versus the Niners at home because especially if Jimmy Garoppolo doesn't play.
When's their bye week?
10. That was the other thing I was looking at, but week 11 they play Baltimore. So maybe week 12 too, when they're playing Detroit.
I mean, it's just so I just don't see how they don't start him right away. I mean, other than Aaron Rodgers, he's the best quarterback in that division. And Aaron Rodgers. Go ahead. All
right. I was just gonna say the Bears put themselves in a very awkward situation by going out and landing Andy Dalton and then trading up for a quarterback because the fans all want Justin Fields, and he's probably the guy that should play. But we know that who's the GM?
Paxson? No.
Pace.
Yeah, Ryan Pace.
Ryan Pace is known for backing down his decisions, or not backing down from his decisions. So he's going to have Dalton starting for at least a couple of games, in my opinion. So if you want to say anytime after week 5, like week 5 on, I think is a good timeline. He's going to give him 4 games to be behind Andy Dalton, and then anytime after they play the Raiders, or anytime from the Raiders on, I think is a ideal starting time for him.
All right. I'll go opposite you. I say I think he'll start before week 5.
Fair enough.
In my opinion, I just say you got to see what you have in him, because you got to see what you have in him early as well. Just because I mean, if he's not going to make the cut, then
See,
if he
but they did
drafted,
that. They did that with Trubisky, and it blew up in their face because he didn't have enough time to develop. So I think that they're going to kind of take that and say, hey, we're going to take this nice and slow and make sure that he's up to speed before we send him out there to his death.
True. What's his last name? Mitchell.
Trubisky?
Yeah, Trubisky from yeah. Justin Fields is a much, much better quarterback than Mitch Trubisky was.
I agree. And I'm not saying that he is Trubisky, but it's kind of like the Ohio State thing where no one wanted to jump up on Fields this year because of what just happened with Haskins. It's just all too new and too fresh for the Bears to say, yeah, we're going to do that again. They're not the Jets, right? Jets do that every 3 years.
I just disagree. I think we're at the point where in the NFL, you got to know what you got in your guy. Because then, all right. So I mean, say you're a GM running a team, okay, and you make a trade so you're the GM, you're looking out for the future, the present, the past of everything right now.
Okay.
You trade up to take a guy like Fields. First of all, then just say screw the Andy Dalton thing. We got lucky and he fell to us. So the Andy Dalton was a bad signing, but it was a good signing at the time. But right now he's not going to play. So so if you're a GM, if you don't play him in the first 5 games, you've kind of basically, I guess what I'm trying to say is if you don't play him in the first 5 games, then you got to play him in the rest of them, I guess, because you have to see what you have out of him. But then you just have a bad team. I don't know. I just think I think we're at the point where I think Aaron Rodgers was the last time probably you'll see a guy sit for. I mean, how many years did Aaron Rodgers sit for? 2, 1?
4.
He sat for 4 years. That'll never happen again, ever. But you never know. But like I said, I just think the Bears are in way too much, especially with their fans and just the media outlook on them. They need to win now and they need to make people happy now. So I just think that's why Fields. The next one, Mac Jones, I believe. This is literally a flip of a coin, I think.
Yeah, I mean, we could throw a dart at this list on a dartboard and say, yeah, that's going to be it, because you have no idea when he's going to start.
Yeah, I just put it in there. I think they're going to go with Cam Newton, but I still think Mac Jones gets a start by week 10.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with week 7 when they're home versus the Jets. That'll be a good tune-up game for him.
Yeah, I mean, I just think Belichick's the type of guy, though.
If Newton's playing,
I'm honestly kind of excited to see how Belichick handles a new quarterback. The perception of him could take a major hit if Mac Jones comes out and he's terrible. But I already think he is going to be terrible. So
I think he's going to be atrocious. By the way, if you're looking on ESPN at the Patriots schedule right now, the game in week 4 versus Tampa Bay, Tom Brady's homecoming, it says tickets as low as $979. The lowest price you can get is $1,000 for these tickets.
It's so pathetic that New England fans are just going to grovel at his balls. Still, right when he comes back, they're just going to be like, "Oh my God, we love you so much, Tom." It's going to be a terrible week on Twitter. Oh God, why did you remind me this is happening?
Because it needs to be known.
Awful. It's going to be that whole week leading up to it. I mean, they're just going to talk about Tom Brady going back. Like, they're not going to talk about anything else in sports ever other than that. And like I said, New England will just be like, "Oh my God, we love you so much," and then he'll leave and go back to Tampa.
He won it
like
for us.
New England fans are.
I hate New
they're
England
pathetic.
fans.
They're pathetic. They're pathetic losers. And then I just had Trask and Mon down here. Any other quarterback you could see starting a game this year?
Well, Trask is going to start whenever Brady leaves, whether that's 2 years, which is left on his contract, or 5 years if he decides to play another 5 years. He's not going to start until Brady is gone. With Mond, though, I'm a big fan of Mond and everything, and I don't really love Kirk Cousins. So if things aren't going the way they are, do you know how long Kirk Cousins has left on his contract?
Why would you ask me that? I have no idea.
I was just wondering if you knew off the top of your head. I'm pretty sure he has like 1 or 2 years left, but it's for a stupid amount of money. So, in all honesty, I think that he could start next year. Or if he's got 1 year left at $35 million. But if they cut him, it's only like 10, I think it is. So if they believe in Mond as much as I think that he can potentially be well, I think that we could maybe see him at the end of the season. And that'll be kind of the tell that Cousins will be out. It kind of sucks that Minnesota has a very hard end of season schedule. Unless they want to start Mond week 13 versus Detroit, they're going to have to start him against Pittsburgh, Chicago, the Rams, Green Bay, or Chicago. And I just don't really see them wanting to do that. But I think that he's a sneaky guy who could start by the end of the season if they're ready to move on from Cousins. But it's not very likely.
Yeah, I mean, I think they're still in with Cousins. So
unfortunately, because he sucks.
Yeah, he's awful. All right, so now we'll move on to the NCAA. It seems like the NLI is going to become real, which is, I think, good for athletes. I'm honestly just excited to see how it plays out. I'm excited to see what players are signing how much players are making. But yeah, I'm excited for it. I think this is the worst nightmare for the NCAA. That's why they let the paying of athletes go on under their noses, was because they knew something like this could come and change everything. I mean, I don't know if you saw, but as of yesterday, not as of yesterday, as of about a month ago, Stanford was supposed to drop about 13 total sports from their university, and luckily Stanford has some pretty rich benefactors, so they donated enough money, so they're not going to cut the sports. But I've heard things about the Ivy League either kind of breaking off into their own thing, or them not really participating at all. It's going to be very different. But like I said, I look forward to it. I am 28 years old, but yes. If Chris Olave, if I ever meet him at a game or something, I will ask for his autograph, because I'm just a kid at heart.
I'm a kid at heart. Fair enough. All right, I think everyone's a kid at heart, in all honesty. Everyone just wants to be happy.
Everyone just wants to be happy. This is good news. There is some good news. Zion was named in an Adidas lawsuit. Anything that could possibly bring Coach K down, I am all in for. I think it's an absolute joke that people think that Coach K doesn't pay his players, considering it is the easiest thing for him to do literally in the world. He does not have to dispose his annual salary because it's a private university. He doesn't have to tell anyone what it is. So he can the school can say he makes $2.5 million, where really he makes $101.5 million, and hands out the rest of that million to his players. And eventually it'll get found out, but it's not going to, because the NCAA doesn't want that to happen. So, like I said, I still think there's going to be paying of athletes going on. I do. I think it'll hopefully be less, but you can't tell me down in places like Auburn and Alabama that they're not going to be paying these guys just to go to school there. I mean, they can. basically if you're a school or a coach and you're trying to recruit now, if the NIL comes around, you need to be able to recruit around the NIL and be like, yes, you'll be able to come to Ohio State, but because of how good the Buckeyes are and how prestigious the program is, your NIL will go up because of that. The money invested people want from you will, because you went to Ohio State. So I do think we could have a certain section of, like in football, you have like a group of 5, like Clemson, Ohio State, Oklahoma, Alabama, and Georgia that are just on top every single year because they offer the most to football players. Whereas maybe in the basketball schools will then, like Kansas and North Carolina, can really benefit off of it because I think Kansas and North Carolina are the 2 best college coaching jobs in the country. Basically, because if you're at North Carolina, you have the prestige of everything, and you're set up with Jordan. You can do whatever you want with Jordan. And then at Kansas, it's kind of the same thing there, except with Wilt Chamberlain and Adidas, and you're basically okay to do whatever you want there. So I think those are the 2 best jobs, and I think with the NIL coming into place, I think it could really maybe I'm making my own pitch to make this a real life job or something, but like you should have someone on your staff, if you're like a basketball coach or football coach, that can like put out numbers about how much you guys can make while using your names and likeness and image and everything. So
right.
But but it's also good. Zion isn't named in it, so and it's also I saw Zion got hurt. People acting like the refs don't call a good game for Zion. No shit, because he's 20, he just come to the league. He doesn't have the respect of the referees yet. And B, he plays a brand of basketball that is incredibly physical. He invites himself to get open for injuries like that. And I can't think of their name. The GMs, the Pelicans GM, used to be the Cavs GM, said something about it. And I was like, dude, just shut up. Just shut up. Like, everyone wants to talk about like how Zion isn't playing minutes. Hey, I'll give you a reason why he doesn't get the foul calls and why he isn't playing heavy minutes. A, he doesn't play a lot of minutes because he's not in shape, because he's fat. And B, he doesn't get fouls called because he literally, when he gets the ball at the top of the key, his only goal is to bowl over the people in front of him and get to the basket. So, I don't feel bad for Zion at all. I hope that he goes to jail for something. So I don't feel bad for Zion, and it's just get over it. So I did find our new sport. It's called Alai.
Alai.
It's I'll explain it more next episode because we're already kind of low on time and I don't want to get into it. But there's 3 amazing things about it. It's the fastest sport in the world. You can gamble on it daily. It's basically it's a Spanish sport, but in Florida they banned greyhound racing, so the casinos needed something to do, and basically they picked this sport up, and you can bet on it. Like, there are matches that goes on all day and everything. I'll explain more of it next time because it is honestly something that it would be very interesting to get into it. Because it really is like a casino game, but it's also like a real sport. So I'll explain more of it next time. Like I said, we're just running short on time today.
Right.
But definitely keep your eyes open for Alai. And one of the big reasons it's back in the news is basically every old Miami, Florida athlete has been recruited to play Alai in Miami. Really? And like they're all doing it. So good for them. It's an easy way to make money and still put the jersey on. So gotta love them with that. And like I said, I'll explain more when we have to. The FCS championship, Oh, along with Alai, I have sent a couple emails out. We will hopefully be having a guest on to talk about Alai soon. So,
Nice.
good. And then just a quick update on the FCS. Obviously, we had the championship on Sunday. It was very, very weird. About with 8 minutes left in the second quarter, lightning delay. So they were off the field, and then they came back on after about an hour, and there was no halftime basically. So it was really weird. So instead of like doing a halftime and going in, they used the delay as kind of their halftime, and basically going from the second quarter to the third quarter was the same as going from the third to fourth. Basically, they just took like a 3-minute break and went back at it. They're actually as fans, we're lucky that it was delayed because the weather got nicer. Early on, it was slippery. People were slipping everywhere. The quarterbacks couldn't grip the ball. It was raining. It was wet. But like I said, we were lucky that the weather got better. And Sam Houston State is just they had a really good year. Casey Keeler became the first FCS coach to win 2 championships at 2 different schools. He won with Delaware in 2003. Eric Schmid was Sam Houston's quarterback. There were multiple times during the game that they showed him either throwing up or spitting up blood. Dude's a warrior. I got to give him credit. The only other time he had been to either the Final Four or the national championship was his freshman year when he wasn't playing, but he was on the roster when they lost in the title game to North Dakota State 55-13. So people kind of said this was good for Sam Houston to get back on track, but it was. It was a good football game. And I'm honestly very excited for it to come back in the fall because I think it's going to be very interesting. There are a lot of storylines that are going to happen. I think you're going to see a lot more players from like Division One. I think there's going to be a lot more that transfer into D1AA because we've seen it. I mean, we've seen guys like they get drafted out of there. I mean, even it's a rarity, but even I can name 2 guys that have been drafted out of Division III schools. Cecil Shorts came out of Mount Union from Cleveland, and Kumaro went to Whitewater.
Okay.
Brett Favre, or not Brett Favre, Aaron Rodgers.
Aaron Rodgers, yeah.
Yeah, his friend, yeah. So
didn't Miles Austin also come out of Monmouth?
I mean, there's a lot. I mean, Joe Flacco went to Delaware. Jimmy Garoppolo went to
Eastern Illinois.
Eastern Illinois. So I'm very excited. Well, Tony Romo also.
He was also Eastern Illinois.
Yeah. So, yeah, I'm very excited for next fall. Here is my way too early top 10. South Dakota State. Oh, I guess I didn't mention this. This was kind of a big deal. On South Dakota State's first drive, they ended up with 3 points on a field goal, but their quarterback, who was a freshman, who has been really, really good all year, he injured his leg and he was out for the rest of the game. So the whole second half, Sam Houston should have won by more, but South Dakota State, like I said, their quarterback was a freshman this year. They're going to be very good next year. James Madison, always one of the powers. North Dakota State, always one of the powers. Jacksonville State makes my top 4. They had a really good year this past year, just played too many games, ran out of gas. Delaware at number 5, they have a decent amount coming back, and they're a good team. Sam Houston is losing a lot, but Casey Keeler only coached to win twice. North Dakota, really, really good year, still really, really young team. They'll be good. VMI could seriously contend next year, which would be crazy because they just clinched their first playoff berth this year, and they didn't get killed or anything, but they lost to James Madison in the first round. So they're really good, and their coaches are kind of crazy. And then to round out my top 10, Weber State, Bronson Barron's coming back to play quarterback for them, and then Monmouth made the first round this year. I think they're going back to either 24 teams next year, or I don't know for sure, but so it was awesome to cover FCS, and so all right. Do we want to do NBA awards predictions or over unders?
Let's do Over-unders.
Yeah, I figured we'd do a couple of them every day until the season comes around.
Sounds good.
So who we have today is the Browns, obviously the Jets, Houston, Tampa, Kansas City, and New England. And I have it pulled up. So we'll just go over it. We'll start with the Browns. I think 9-5 is really, really good. I think it'll be over, but I would also not surprise me if they only won 10 games. So I think it's over 9.5. And I got to be honest, if it's under 9.5, then it was a failure of a season. So I'll say over.
Yeah, I was gonna go over for the sole purpose that I think that they're a 10-win team.
Yeah. If we're talking about
they're
this,
double digits.
If we're talking about this a year from now and it hit the under, I may be dead hanging from a tree somewhere because because I can't take like this. There was so much hype around the Browns when they got Odell Beckham. And people they just forgot that they traded away Kevin Zeller, who was one of the best guards. But that year when they got Odell and then they had like all these primetime games, I can't have another season like that. I just can't. That was so demoralizing and terrible. So I will take over 9.5, and I think you will too. So
I am.
All right. Who do I have now? The Jets. The Jets are set at 6.5. You're the Jets guy.
Yeah. 6.5 is such a good line. I'm gonna go over because 7-10 is a real possibility. So I don't have their schedule pulled up. I know that they have to play some teams that kind of suck and are kind of hard, but I think that they'll hit at least 7. Hopefully.
I actually think they could win. I think they could win 8 or 9 games this year. I think I've said it to you. I don't love the quarterback, but I really like Salah. I really like his. I think that was the best head coaching hire of the offseason. So I agree. I think it's going to be over. And unlike me, though, if it is under, it's not the worst thing in the world then for you guys because you didn't have all this hype coming in. Yeah, all you guys get to do then next year. See, that's what I almost miss about being bad. It's like you get a little bit excited for the season, but then by like halfway through, you're just like, I'm just rooting for losses now because I definitely want that quarterback. So, but I will go over for the Jets because, like I said, I just really like Salah.
Yeah, I think that he's going to really help like revamp the defense, and I think that adding Carl Lawson to that defensive line is going to allow the linebackers to drop into coverage a little bit more.
Yeah, and like Salah, I was shocked he didn't get a job right after the Super Bowl with San Fran last year, but I think it's a really good pickup. And I think he's the right type of guy that his personality seems like he's the type of guy that's going to be able to handle the New York media just fine. Just like kind of not be a dick, but not like be like all encompassing. But he just seems like he's cool in his own self. Like he's just
Right.
like, I don't really care. Like we're going to do what I want to do. Things like that. And then I have 4 other ones here, just kind of random ones. I thought these were somewhat interesting. We start out with the lowest win total. Houston is at 4.5. I haven't looked at their schedule.
I have it here.
But I think they could go winless.
They're going under. From what I'm looking at here, they're going the under. You got Jacksonville twice, and if Trevor Lawrence plays like Trevor Lawrence has in the past, it's going to be 2 losses there. But week 1, Jacksonville, Cleveland, Carolina, Buffalo, New England, Indianapolis, Arizona, the Rams, Miami, Tennessee, New York, the Jets, Indianapolis, Seattle, Jacksonville, the Chargers, San Francisco, and Tennessee. They're going, I would say, under 2.
Yeah, I'm just
I would
trying to
go
think
under
of this.
2.
I think the Jets are a lot better than them, so I hope for their sake they don't lose to them. But yeah, like I said, when the Browns went 0-16, I said I don't think it'll ever happen again. And I'm still at that point with the Texans. So I think they'll win a game or two, but it's definitely under A. And B, this could be like the 1-15 year for the Browns that they had before their 0-16 year. Like they could go into next year's offseason in actually a worse situation they are in right now, which is incomprehensible, basically. So yeah, but yeah, I would love for someone else to go winless. Actually, no, I wouldn't. I like being the only winless team.
I'm sitting here and I'm like, what games can they actually win to get up to 5? And I kid you not, the only game that I really can realistically right now see them winning is splitting a game with Jacksonville. Like
that's what I was going to say.
You catch Jacksonville before Lawrence is starting, and it's Minshew, week 1. But like you're not. I don't see how they get to 5. Like. Your division's hard enough as is before Trevor Lawrence is put in, and you have to play the AFC East and the NFC West, and the NFC West is the most competitive division in football. Like that, I don't see how you get to 5 wins on that.
Yeah. So the Texans just continue their downward spiral into nothingness. Who's next? I have Tampa Bay next. 11.5.
Tampa Bay. Let me pull up Tampa Bay's schedule. Tampa Bay. Let's see who they have. I'm sure that it's going to be like some kind of cream puff schedule that they're going to have. Okay, and I'm sorry. What's the number for that one again?
11.5.
11.5. So you got to get to 12. Quick eye glance, I will say under because I feel like no, I'll go over. I changed my mind. I'm going over.
I'm going over too.
Yeah, that they get to play the NFC East and the AFC East. So yeah, I'll hit the over. I'll say the over on that one there.
Yeah, we're pretty much on the same page for everything right now. Kansas City is at 12.
Chiefs schedule. I feel like that's going to be an under from me, but I have to see who they play. All I know is that their division, I think this year we could see a lot of the most fluctuating teams from there. So they'll either be really good or really bad. They have to play the AFC West and the NFC East. No, everyone can't be playing the NFC East. No, it is the NFC East. Wow, that's crazy. And it's 12. I'm going under here just after looking at it real quick.
I had under, but I'm going to go over. I'm just going to make it a little different.
Okay.
Make it a little different. Because so over 12, 13. That still gives them 4 losses, too, because you got to remember there's that 17th game this year. So
yeah, well, and if you're looking at who they could lose to, I would not be surprised if that Green Bay game is a shootout and they could just end up, assuming Aaron Rodgers plays, that Bay game could be a shootout. They're usually bound to trip up once to someone in division, like we saw with the Raiders last year.
The Raiders were just good last year. I mean, they beat the Browns, so.
And the Jets almost beat the Raiders, but then Lamar Jackson, the cornerback.
But the Jets beat the Browns.
That's true.
I forgot about that. I don't know why. I don't know why I didn't hate you for longer then.
I don't know.
Yeah, I'll go over. I just think the Chargers won't be able to stay with them. Who else is in the West?
Broncos and Raiders.
I think that's 6 wins for them.
No, it's 5 because they do trip up once a year to someone in division. If you look back at it, they always have one bad game versus an in-division team.
I'm still going to say over, so
go for it.
All right, and this is the last one that I figured we should end on. Our fan favorite, the New England Patriots over/under is at 9.
So they have to hit 10.
No, they have to hit 9 in an overtime
Well,
loss.
I wasn't.
I actually, wow, that might actually be over 10 then. Well, no, it wouldn't because it was not a win. So
It wasn't a win. Yeah. Ooh, I'm gonna go under. I'm going under, and that's not me being spiteful. I just think that they're losing to the Bills twice. They'll lose to Indianapolis. They'll lose to Tampa Bay, New Orleans. Yeah, I'm going under. Just have like a quick look.
all right, so I'm trying to think. AFC North or AFC East is the Dolphins. They should get them twice, or the Dolphins could sweep them.
Dolphins, Jets, and Bills. Bills are sweeping them twice for sure.
Yeah, and I think the Jets could get one win.
We'll split. Yeah.
I think it really just depends how the quarterback situation goes, but I'm gonna go under as well just because I want it to be under. So
I did it.
All right.
Not considering that.
All right, so we're both on the same page with every single one except for
the one that we were in agreement on. You're like, nah, I want it a little different.
the Kansas City one. So all right, well, we'll keep track of that, and we'll get some more of that out. Like I said, we will. We'll have a whole episode for Alai coming up. Like I said, hopefully we get a guest, one or two guests on that can come on and talk to us about Alai and how we should be betting our money on it. And then we ran out of time for our Mount Rushmore today. So just off the top of your head, what are some of the coolest places you've been to see a game or anything like that?
I really loved the Angels Stadium because the seats were aligned in levels so that even if people were standing in front of you, you were above them. So you could still see what was going on. And then like just having the palm trees and like a little waterfall in the back was cool. Fenway and Wrigley were really cool just because like that's historical and everything like that.
Yeah, I've been to Wrigley once.
I was there yesterday.
I will say one of the cooler stadiums is definitely Baltimore's baseball
I want to go
stadium.
down to Camden Yard.
Yeah, it's definitely super cool. I like that one a lot. I have been to Madison Square Garden. I saw North Carolina play Dayton there in 2010 in the NIT championship. North Carolina lost, so that sucked. But yeah, I was there. Not even sports. I was not impressed by Times Square. It's just like an overall thing. I was not impressed by it. Some of the cool. I've been to basically every state park. Definitely, if you ever get a chance, definitely want to go to Zion, Arches, the Great Sand Dunes, and Tetons are okay. Glacier's cool. You have to go to Wall Drug, and if you are in the North Dakota or South Dakota, you have to go to Wall Drug. It's like this big tourist attraction that's it's very odd. Yeah, it's very odd. It's but yeah, no, I've been to a lot of cool places. Not a lot of cool sports things though. I've still never seen a game inside the Horseshoe.
Really?
Yeah, I think I only tried to go twice, and both times I just say I didn't make it there. So,
gotcha. I gotcha.
So like I said, this is all we're gonna do for this week. I think me and Tom both kind of needed a break. So this will I'll have this one out tomorrow morning. And then we'll hopefully be back on our regular schedule next week. But yeah, like I said, hopefully a Alai guest at some point. And also there's a really good chance that I'm super duper rich the next time we talk because I'm going to win millions of dollars betting Alai. So
I don't even know what you're doing this yet. And it already sounds awesome. I'll get my education next show, I'm sure.
Yeah. Yeah. What else was I going to say? I don't know. Oh, yes. For me, also be on the lookout this summer, heading into the fall. I am doing a series of articles, things about learning about fantasy football, basically fantasy football 101 for dummies. I'll be doing that on Flurry.
Nice.
I'll be doing a lot of just learning about the different kind of leagues and everything. So definitely follow that out, and it should be interesting to see, especially if you're a guy like me who doesn't. I don't know anything about fantasy football, and I know you did. We had a meeting last night, and I guess you weren't there. I maybe didn't invite you, but I was like, I told Zach, I was like, Tom would have been much better to have on this meeting than me because I have no idea what you're talking about.
Yeah.
They were talking about like who's our competitors, like betting sports wise, and I was like, I don't know. So
Yeah, I was at Wrigley last night, and we had been crawling up through Wrigleyville on our way to the game, so I probably wasn't going to be of much help last night.
Yes, but definitely be on the lookout for that. Also, in the future, hopefully, we will be having some sponsors soon. I am talking to one company right now, but other than that, that's pretty much it. Anything you want to say, Tom?
Not really, man. Just go Dogs. You already know how it is.
Yeah, it's just
Just go
go dogs,
Dogs,
man.
baby.
Just go dogs.